Steve, Dave, I'm doing very well.
Well, we appreciate a couple of minutes. Hey, Tim, tell people about your military background and that you are still active.
Yeah, yes, I'm still active. 9/11, 2001, sitting behind a desk in California during the comic comics boom, finishing grad school, and watched some planes fly into some buildings, and I was pissed off. So walked down to the recruiter's office, and I said, hey, I want to be in Afghanistan tomorrow, and they just smiled, and I was like, I want to be a Special Forces Green Beret Airborne Ranger. Like, we got something for you. And that's actually exactly what I did. I went to the Special Forces selection, got selected to be a Green Beret, finished Green Beret training, then went to Ranger School, finished Ranger training, then went to Sniper School, then another Sniper School. And in between each one of those schools, I deployed multiple times to Iraq and Afghanistan as a Special Forces sniper and a Green Beret.
So you've seen some things over there, no doubt.
Yeah, I was, from the peak of the war in Iraq and the peak of the war in Afghanistan, I was there for both.
I saw some of your tweets right away. Little odd for some people because you sent out the message, and I saw you did an interview yesterday with a website, SureDog, and you were like, you know what? In some ways, you were sad because you wish you had been the guy who got Bin Laden.
Yeah, the months, years away from my family, I hunted that guy. I looked for him. Did countless missions. I was part of the unit that found Zarqawi in Iraq. So I've had really great experiences, but that has been one that has eluded me. Like, that man was the cause of the worst tragedies that has happened to the United States in my lifetime. I am a bleeding red American through and through, and I don't think anybody should be able to sit there and think about the things that happened on 9/11 and not just have their blood boil. I wasn't going there for revenge. I'm not a vengeful person, but I was going there for justice, and I sacrificed a lot to see justice done. And of course, I was disappointed that I didn't have the honor to be part of that. I don't know if you've ever seen 12 Angry Men, but it's a stage play and then a movie, and there's this judge that put these guys to execution often, and every day he's washing his hands with guilt. And finally, he does a guy. He sentences him to death. He goes home. He doesn't even wash his hands. Just sits down at the dinner table. And I think that's what real justice feels like. You've done the right thing, and I think that's what happened.
Tim Kennedy's with us, Army Ranger, Special Forces, MMA fighter. Now, I always find it interesting too how often you talk about the fact that you have a chance here at a pretty lucrative career. You can become a real star in MMA. You're a high level middleweight, but you say your goal eventually is hey, you're going to fight to a certain point, and then you're going back.
Absolutely. Every day is almost agony to not be part of what we call an ODA, an Operational Detachment Alpha. It is the essence of what Special Forces is. It's a small unit, and when you've been part of one for 8 years, and then now you're not, every day there's just like a portion of you that's missing. I knew I could do some really great things in the cage, and I could represent my brothers and sisters in uniform, and that's what I'm doing. But I miss being in uniform. I miss being overseas, and yeah, fighting's fun. Fighting, I make so much more money than I do in uniform. But I feel that my calling, where I'm supposed to be, is overseas.
So did you read the reports of what went down? I saw the New York Times had a pretty decent account. Can you kind of take us through what one of these missions is like, going out, especially going after someone like that, Osama bin Laden, and just how secret it is, too, because apparently, no one knew about this because obviously leaks ruin any chance at catching scumbags like this.
Yeah, the wherever unit is, and this is how secret you have to be. You can't even go outside to start your Humvee, because wherever the Humvee is, there's somebody sitting there watching it, and they know where you are. They know where the Special Forces units are at base, and they're just waiting to see you walk out there and start loading your truck, start putting ammo on your truck, because then they know that you're going out, and they start disappearing into the woodwork. So from start to finish, it's the utmost, secrecy. You can't talk to anybody. It's complete blackout. You're not emailing your family being like, hey, I might be gone for a few days. There's not even that. It's just you're out. The perfection. You've drilled every single portion of what that mission will be, from a rock drill through, maybe you have it on a dry erase board. You're going through it. Everybody's being assigned their positions. Everybody knows what their job is, and then every job that you do, you've practiced and rehearsed 1,000 times. You change your batteries, you load your magazines, you make sure everything's ready to go in the exact position that you've trained with it, like countless times. You get on the bird, you start flying out there, and everything's black, and then you get the brown out as you're landing through your nods, and then it's go time.
What do you say to the? There's been some people who are saying, well, we need to see pictures or film of the mission. And first of all, film of the mission, I would think it would be classified. I don't need to see pictures. If the SEALs, they did a DNA test, if they say they got him and threw him in the water, then they got him. I mean, that's good enough for me.
The thing that they use, the retinal scan and the DNA collection, there's really no way for you not to get a positive identification with that. I'm intimately familiar with everything that they used on that mission, and it goes to a separate testing. Like, somebody's going to get a result of, like, for instance, let's say I wanted to know who you were, and I collect samples from you. I would have samples from the rest of your family member, and at a different site. So I send your samples to the place where your family member samples are, and I say, hey, how is this person genetically related to these people? The people doing the testing have no idea who any of these samples are. They just say that this is the relationship between these people. And so, like, absolutely, we know who that person is. The retinal scan is very clear. That's going to come back like 99.99% accurate. And I've seen the pictures of him. That is one bed of Osama bin Laden. Like, I don't understand, like, why people would, unless they're very disgusting and barbaric, want to see, the pictures of the body. That's kind of tragic.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Additionally, the videos, no, you don't. That is very, very protected, classified approaches. The way that we do things, how we operate, how we do missions, everything is very classified. So we can't show those videos because then operationally it really damages everybody else that's trying to do things.
Tim Kennedy's with us, MMA fighter and Army Ranger, Special Forces, very familiar with the effort that went down just a couple of days ago to kill bin Laden. So, in a way, though, can you understand some people? Like, I saw some 9/11, the family of the victim saying, hey, we want to see a picture. Why was the body just dumped? Can you understand that at all?
No. It's back to the revenge and justice thing. If somebody hurt my family, I wouldn't want to sit there and watch that guy executed. I would just want to know that justice was done. And if it was done, then great. That's what I need to know. So maybe I can appreciate their desire for that absolute, conclusive, definitive closure. But I personally, and this is just my opinion, I don't feel that it's necessary.
Can you also potentially alleviate a worry from some people who I actually think are trying to spread fear a little bit with your dog in the background? This is a I guess this would be an end of one mission. It's certainly not the end of the entire mission. They're not pulling out anytime soon, correct?
Oh no, definitely not. This isn't even the beginning of the end. This is an opportunity for us to really catch them while they're scrambling. By no means is this, if anything, it's going to stir up even more reaction and even more fanatics. But it's, like right now, it's just as dangerous as it's ever been, probably more dangerous, and there's just as many terrorists, minus one, that there's ever been. So, the need to really push forward and continue to do the job that our soldiers have been doing overseas is higher now than it's ever been. Equally, it's as important for us as a nation to support the troops more now than ever, because it's going to be hotter now than it's been in a long time, why these guys are doing their job.
Let's finish on this. I thought I can't exactly quote what you said, and I don't know if you'll repeat it verbatim, but I remember after your last fight, you basically threw something out that said, hey, we as soldiers understand that everyone back here is not going to, be down with the effort or really vested in the effort, but that's why we go over there, so people have the freedom to be as involved as they want to be or care as much as they want to be.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember what I said, but I remember the idea behind it. I'm really happy that people can say, it's Bin Laden's still alive, or we killed him 2 years ago. It's their absolute right. It's just like I've been called a baby killer, and I've been spat on before in an airport. And I actually smile inside when that happens, because this guy or gal that is saying these things that just really, really hurt me inside. At the same time, it makes me happy, because I know I've bled for them. I know I've been burnt for them. I know I've been blown up for them. So they have that right to do that. If they didn't, then what's the point of me sacrificing everything that I have? What's the point of all of our troops doing all the sacrifices years away from their families? So, that's the point. That's why these guys are over there. That's why we have constitutional rights to do the things that we can do. And that's why we have guys bleeding and dying over there, so that, we can sit here and talk on the radio and live our lives.
Yep. Hey, Tim, we appreciate it. What your next fight is scheduled? You all set yet or not?
No, not 100%. Looks like it's going to be at the end of July.
Okay. Hopefully
on the Dan Henderson Fedor card, and I'm already getting in my training camp, getting ready to go. So for me, I'm fighting at the end of July. I just got to get somebody to say yes to fight me.
Any clue who the candidates are?
I'm hoping for Robbie Lawler. That's why I asked for at the end of my last fight when I choked out Melvin Manhoff. And he's the number 2 guy in Strike Force behind Jacare. So, if I'm not fighting for the title, give me Robbie Lawler. Let me fight that guy.
Good deal, Tim. Thanks for the time today. Thanks for your service. Thanks for the insight. We're rooting for you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Tim.
See you.